Joan, I missed my opportunity.
What was your opportunity?
And I'm very disappointed with myself because I missed my opportunity.
Okay. Explain.
707. So I had written on my piece of paper that I just interviewed Doug Crulin, which, by the way, I don't know about anybody else. I found that fascinating.
Yeah.
And yes, my word of the last segment was indeed fascinating because I like airports. I have written down on my piece of paper, airport greeting. I was going to ask Doug Crulin, and I ran out of time, who is president and CEO of BNA. How do you get to be the guy that welcomes, people to Nashville?
Oh, yeah.
Hi, this is Dolly Parton. Welcome to Nashville, y'all. Right? I mean, I've heard Ryan Seacrest do them.
Right.
I've heard that guy, I can't remember, he's on a country station. He's been able to do it. He's on all the he's syndicated. What's his name? I don't even remember. But I've even heard Kenny Smoove from down the hall in 92Q.
Yeah.
He's done airport greetings. So I meant to ask Doug Crulin, how do I get to be like, hey, it's Dan Mandis. Welcome to Nashville. Leave when you're done. I mean,
It's honestly how we feel when people come here.
Well, that's exactly right. You know what? Contribute or leave. Spend your money and leave. That would be my airport
I think
greeting.
that you probably don't have a good shot at it, Dan.
No?
No,
Listen, I could be nice too.
The old curmudgeon sound, isn't very welcoming, and you don't have an accent.
I can fake one. Hey, y'all, it's Dan Mandis.
See, it sounds
Does that not sound genuine?
Fake Southern
just a touch
always
offensive
sounds
there, buddy.
Authentic? No, that doesn't. Whatever. Moving on. This guy says, 7882. I can't wait to hear you explain how climate change is a liberal hoax. Oh, it's 7882. Just so we're clear, I'm not. You know who is? Bill Gates. Bill Gates, this is from CNN, makes a stunning claim about climate change. Now, realize that we have been 50, 60 years now. We've been seeing the headlines that America and the world was going to perish in either ice or fire. I'm not sure which one or why it's always different. But it used to be, global warming, and now it's climate change. But in a stunning and significant pushback to the doomsday climate activist community, Bill Gates, a leading proponent for carbon emissions reductions, published a remarkable essay this week that argued that resources must be shifted away from the battle against climate change. Instead, Gates argues the world's philanthropists, hit that cold, must increase their investment in other efforts aimed at preventing disease and hunger. He says climate change is not going to wipe out humanity, he argued. It's all a hoax. And if all of the dire doomsday predictions were real, then why are Democrats flocking to places like Miami, right? Or Massachusetts, places on the coast. And so this has been, conservatives have been calling this out for a long time. But now that Bill Gates is saying that climate change is not going to wipe out humanity, what that means is that they've been lying all this time. So now how do you square that then with, and you see the polling, and the polling shows that very few people, even liberals, really believe the climate change crap anymore, because nobody does. You would have to be kind of, even what's her name out there with the boats?
Greta
whatever.
Thunberg.
Yeah, Greta Thunberg. Even she's trying to find another gig, right? She's trying to feed the people of Gaza because she knows the environment's fine, and the whole global warming thing, climate change is all a hoax. Just like Bill Gates has now realized that.
There's a website, AG Agriculture Web Farm Journal. They have 50 years of failed climate change predictions as far as how the world will end. Yeah,
that we all had fun with that when that came out. And we started reading all of them, So I think that when you lose Bill Gates on the whole climate thing, then it's time to move on. Now, does that mean that California will once again allow plastic straws? Because you go to California, and I think this is still the case. I don't know. It's been a minute. But I still believe that they don't allow in California plastic straws. They're like that weird cardboardy thing that they use for straws. And if you've got like a large, then the whole thing just starts disintegrating as you're drinking the soda. Anyway, whatever. Hey, guess who is, I got the video and audio? Sam, video and audio? Hey, Joan, guess who is coming to Nashville? Listen close.
They are disrespecting all federal workers in this moment. So is it a surprise to me when they're not getting paid that they could care less? Absolutely not. They found money for ICE, but they act like they can't find money for anybody else.
You know who that is?
That's our girl, Jasmine.
Name that moron. Hey, do you think that Street Jasmine is going to show up here in Nashville, or do you think it'll be like college-educated Jasmine Crockett?
Oh, I think she'll adopt an accent. She'll become Southern.
Oh, Southern Jasmine will show up.
Yeah, and she'll carry some hot sauce. No, that's not this group. Okay.
So Tennessee Town Hall featuring Jasmine Crockett and, of course, Aftyn Behn. It's going to be happening in Nashville Friday, November 7th.
Oh, boy.
From 12:30 to 2. Hey, Sam, I dare you to wear your Batman onesie to that. Can you imagine?
Probably be the most sane person dressed up there.
It's exactly, you know what? To be honest, you'd fit in. Because, the Democrats, they are the party of, like, furries and all that.
They like to wear the inflatable costumes at their protests. So I guess, which helps the agents that are combating them because then they just spray the tear gas and the mace right into the suit.
It's not surprising, though, that you've got Jasmine Crockett. The Democrats honestly believe that they have a shot at the 7th. They do believe that they have a shot against Matt Van Epps. Do you know what I don't understand, though? Well, I'm going to come back to this. Well, listen, we've got Stefano DiPietro, who's going to be joining us after the news at 8 o'clock, and he's going to tell us exactly what we should be wearing for Halloween night, and looking forward to that. 7:36, by the way, Congressman John Rose is going to be on the program. I asked if there is still only paper straws there in Los Angeles. Let's see. 7253 says, my family was in L.A. for fall break, and the restaurant we went to did indeed have plastic straws. So there you go. So I don't know. Hey, Sam, can you Google real quick? Did California go back on the whole plastic straw ban? I'm genuinely curious. Because next time I go to California, I was going to bring my own straws. You know what I mean? Because I think people actually started doing that. Anyway, so here's what I don't know about the Democrats and the 7th. You got Aftyn Behn now, and she is running against Matt Van Epps. Aftyn Behn just barely won the primary, right? Aftyn Behn barely won the primary, and I forget what the number was, but she had, I think, 3 or 4 percentage points higher than the folks under her. But if you added everybody's percentages up collectively, they would have beaten Aftyn Behn, as opposed to Matt Van Epps, who absolutely crushed his opponents. So I do wonder, and I guess there's a worry about turnout, conservative turnout. I don't know. Have you heard that, Joan? I have heard from some people that, and I don't run in these Republican circles, but I have heard from some people that I do know that they are worried about turnout for the 7th Congressional District. I don't really understand that because I think that there was a lot of passion shown for Matt Van Epps. But can I tell you something? If you really want to bring out the passion in Republicans, please bring out Jasmine Crockett and have her spew stuff like this.
They are disrespecting all federal workers in this moment.
You know what's so funny is that she and her eyelashes are talking about how the Republicans are disrespecting federal workers in this moment. Remember that? I think there's another one now. There have been at least one, maybe 2 federal workers unions that have told the Democrats to cut the crap. So what does it mean when she says that it's the Republicans who are disrespecting federal workers at this moment? I hate that phrase. But you know what I'm saying? So you might want to go ask, I would say to Jasmine Crockett, you might want to go ask the unions that represent federal workers how they feel, because the unions have told you to get back to the negotiating table, approve that CR, and everybody can go back to work, and the SNAP benefit people can get their SNAP benefits, and we can all, move on. But right now, for the state of Tennessee and the city of Nashville, where is this going to be? Anyway, Tennessee Town Hall. Pamela first sent this to me. Thank you, Pamela. It doesn't say where it's going to be. Pamela, where's the town hall going to be? We need to know where we can send Sam in the Batman onesie. You know what's funny? Sam in the Batman onesie won't be the scariest thing at that town hall. It'd be Jasmine Crockett. But don't worry. Hey, Sam, if you get hot, if you go to the town hall with Aftyn Behn and Jasmine Crockett and you get really, hot in your costume, just ask Jasmine Crockett to blink on you with those big old eyelashes that she's got.
Yeah.
So people got mad at me when I called those pterodactyl wings. I don't know why. Run, Joan, run. Joan doesn't want anything to do with this. Just to be honest, I don't care who's wearing the long eyelashes. I've never really understood them. You ever wear the long eyelashes, Joan?
I have to admit I've tried. And
have you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't. They don't work.
What do you mean they don't work?
For me,
what are they supposed to do?
Place them in the right place or something.
You got to clamp it. You got to clamp them on, right?
I think so. It doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work.
Okay. Well,
I gave up.
I don't know if it works. I don't know if it works for anybody. I've never really understood them. But listen, whatever. People want to wear them. That's fine. I'm all about, freedom of choice in that sense. And if you want to walk around looking like that, that's fine. Because I know it's a younger generational thing. I know the younger people like that.
Yeah.
And it's not a black thing. It's a black, white, whoever. That part doesn't matter. I've just never really understood them. I do like, though, how Sam, when I start talking like that, Joan just suddenly becomes silent. I just cover the news, Dan.
Yes.
Is what Joan would say.
Channel my inner Ken.
That's exactly right. By the way, I confronted Ken the other day, just very quickly. I confronted Ken the other day because I said, Ken, I never noticed that you only cover the news when you're working with Murphy Show. Can you explain yourself? Oh, he said, I only cover the news with Matt every once in a while and also with Chad. I've never heard it. Have you ever heard it, Sam? Have you ever heard when, Ken says, I only cover the news when he's working with Chad or Murphy Show? I've never heard it, not once.
No.
Okay.
Must be you, Dan.
He jumps in the conversation like it's a tag team wrestling match.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right, which is fine. That's why I tried to start talking about college football, just so I'd have something to bond with Ken over. And then I started saying really dumb things about college football, and then I just knew that I was way outmatched. By the way, I was talking to Ramon from the sports station in the kitchen, giving me some inside scoop on the Titans. Really, the only inside scoop is they really suck. Like, the Titans are terrible. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Can you imagine what it's like in that locker room?
It must be so lonely in that locker room.
Well, yeah, because here's the thing. You've got, and we talked about this on Monday, you've got Vandy that's doing really well. You've got the Vols that are doing really well. And so you've got both of the college teams that are doing really good and getting all the headlines. And then, yeah, you've got the Titans complete with their new stadium with, what is it, $10,000 personal seat licenses or whatever it is?
Yeah, there was some PSLs that went from $750 to $10,000 for the same seats.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
That is insane.
Man, Tennessee Titans and the owners, I forget their names, but man, you got to read the room. By the way, I do have some more information on that blockbuster event that is coming to Nashville, Tennessee. Jasmine Crockett and Aftyn Behn, stay close. I have some information on how you can go to that if you so choose. Right now, though, I want to say good morning to Congressman John Rose, also running for governor for the great state of Tennessee. Congressman, how are you?
Good morning, Dan. Thanks for having me on Nashville's Morning News today.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you're in D.C., if you're home here in Tennessee, but, what's your take on the shutdown? There are some rumblings out there that maybe there are some behind-the-scenes negotiations going on. Of course, you all know that the SNAP benefits are due to expire coming up here a day after tomorrow. So I don't know. What are you hearing?
Well, not really hearing of any constructive talks, hearing a few rumors in the media, but it's just shameful. We're at day 30 of a shutdown. Obviously, Republicans in the House voted, 41 days ago to keep the government open. And it's real simple. And if Chuck Schumer was not concerned about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and his, the radical Marxist socialist wing of his party, then, the government would have never shut down. And unfortunately, Democrats are willing to see Americans suffer in order to gain politically for themselves and for the far left of their party.
One of the things, and of course you know this all too well, the Democrats, even though, you say and others have said, and I've said too, the far left wing of the party. But if I see that the rest of the party is following suit as it relates to the far left wing policies, well, then at least to me, I think that is what the Democrat Party is right now. I don't think there is a far left wing. I think they're all far left wing.
Well, I think that's a valid observation. They certainly are letting the radical progressives in their party guide the party and set policy and determine their strategies. And so we see them, putting this pain on the American people. And actually, they've seen this over and over again. And so they know how this story ends. I mean, this has never ended well, really, for either party when we do this, when it's happened in the past. And I think they thought somehow they could get to a win, but I think they're coming to grips with the fact that that's probably not going to happen. And unfortunately, what they're doing is creating pain for literally millions of Americans, damaging our economy, and that pain is beginning to spread. And obviously, as everyone is keenly aware, the SNAP benefits that are going to expire here at the end of the month are going to put millions of Americans, 76,705 people in the 6th district, 713,193 Tennesseans who are going to lose benefits. That's real pain for real Americans. And obviously, we've seen the other, consequences of this shutdown. And we've got lots of Americans who are missing paychecks. And, unfortunately, lots of people are not in a position to be able to ride this out. And so eventually these folks are going to have to leave their jobs or get a second job to try to make ends meet.
Congressman, one of the things, and you and I have spoken about this in the past, of course, as I've mentioned, everybody knows you're running for governor. Governor Lee has said that there will always, and I'm going to paraphrase this, but the law enforcement surge in Memphis, one of the things that he has said is that there will probably always be some sort of a surge, if you will, or additional law enforcement in Memphis. And I guess my question would be, if you're elected governor, would you concur?
Well, I think the state and the governor have to step up and make sure that people in every county in the state, and most especially Memphis, because of the shameful history that they have there, 30 plus years of one-party rule, and we see where that's gotten them, the worst city for violent crime in the entire country. So if I'm elected governor, if Tennesseans hire me to be their next governor, absolutely we'll step into this and not just, anything that would be temporary, but find a long-term solution that allows the state to step up and help, assist, you might say force Memphis to do its job of protecting the people there and preventing crime that's spilling over from Memphis into adjoining areas. I think that's we can't continue to look at such a large city in our state, which should be the crown jewel of the Mid-South, frankly. It should be one of the biggest assets for this state. but we haven't stepped in and forced Memphians to do the job that they should, and their leaders have caused this problem, and now, frankly, are fighting the president and the governor's attempts to get it under control, which is just ridiculous and really underscores why they ended up in this place in the first place.
Can you imagine, just on a side note, if we could get Memphis fixed, can you imagine how incredible the state of Tennessee would be? I mean, I already believe that Tennessee is an incredible state, but man, you get Memphis under control, and suddenly, we're no longer on the list of, most dangerous states because Memphis, blows everybody else out of the water. So you fix Memphis or we fix Memphis, and the sky's the limit for the state of Tennessee. Let me go back real quick, though. I want to bring up another Governor Lee thing that was, some people believe was controversial, but he announced earlier this week that, with the shutdown and with the loss of, the SNAP benefits and so forth, the governor decided that he would not be providing state funds, the rainy day fund and all that. He would not be providing state funds to fund the SNAP benefits and trying to make up for what the federal government is unable to do. Do you agree with what the governor did?
I think it is the right choice. I know that's a tough choice, but as I understand from serving on the Ag Committee that has jurisdiction over SNAP benefits, the state, in all likelihood, unless there was some extraordinary step, would not be reimbursed for expending these funds. It's not clear if we could even distribute the funds successfully given the shutdown. And so I think, the answer is simple. We need 7 Democrats in the United States Senate to step forward and vote to reopen the government and end this nonsense. And, there have been 13 votes, 13 chances for them to do so. 13 times they've voted to cut off Tennesseans and Americans from this badly needed assistance. 13 times they've voted to keep the government shut down. And, it's just time to move on and get back in business. And then we wouldn't be talking about how we might, as a state, supplement what, progressive Democrats are doing to hurt Americans. You
mentioned that you're on the Ag Committee. You are actually, a farmer, really. You 8 generations on your farm?
That's right. I'm looking across the fields of our farm right now as we talk. So very blessed to get to farm that same land.
Yeah, and I understand why you would not want to spend a lot of time in Washington, D.C., now that you've been there, done that. Let me ask this question. The president, very controversial with you being a farmer, the president spoke about allowing Argentina to export or import into our country more beef. That, of course, Brazil also imports or exports beef into our country as well. And this was something the farmers got really upset because, they're already dealing with a number of roadblocks in trying to, produce meat for the country. And so as a lot of farmers said, well, we're being sold out. 93% of the rural communities across the country voted for Donald Trump. And with Argentina, as the president said, he's going to start allowing the Argentinians to bring beef into our country. What do you think about that?
Well, I think it's probably not the best choice. Beef prices are high, but it's a competitive marketplace. And, generally, farmers all across this country have been suffering from, obviously high input prices and generally low prices for the products they produce, with beef being a rare exception to that. And so it's been one bright spot in an otherwise dismal economic picture for farmers right now. And so I think it's probably not the right policy to encourage that beyond what naturally occurs in the marketplace. We have seen for years American beef being kept out of markets, and certainly Argentina and Brazil and Australia have worked hard to take share away from American beef producers, market share away from our producers. And so what we ought to be doing is looking for ways to encourage more production domestically. And that's what markets do. And what we see in agriculture, of course, is when prices are low, no one's crying about the fact that farmers are suffering. So right now, virtually every other agricultural commodity our prices are at, recent lows. But the input costs for farmers have grown dramatically through the Biden inflation over the last 4 or 5 years. And so it's created a real problem. It is really tough times for farmers right now, the toughest in my lifetime. I'm 60, with the possible exception of the early 80s. And so you're going to see a real shakeout in American agriculture unless things turn around. Now, the president is working to try to open markets. The Biden administration failed to negotiate a single trade deal during the entire 4 years. They did not even try. Yeah. And so that's part of what's created this problem, and ultimately that leads to shortage of commodities like beef. We need to get back on track, but I don't think suppressing the price artificially by encouraging more imports is the right answer.
One of the things, from what I understand, one of the challenges that farmers have is these meat processing plants where, a farmer sells a cow to the meat processing plant and then they slaughter the cow and do whatever they do to it and then send it off to the stores. And from what I understand, the meat processing plants and the fact that there's really a monopoly on those plants from like 3 or 4 companies is actually causing a big problem, because some are accusing these meat processing plants of like slow walking the slaughter, if you will, and impacting the price of domestically manufactured beef. Is that part of a problem? Do we need to try to end that monopoly of these processing plants and try to open up that market more?
Yes. The short answer is yes. I studied agricultural economics as a student in college. And, this was 40 years ago, studied what's called the 4-firm concentration ratio for American beef processors. This has been a problem really in the United States for going back 100 years, but it was certainly a problem 40 years ago. And this is an area where the government could be effective in helping to break up the oligopoly of beef processors in the current economy that has existed for a long time and suppresses the price that producers get at the farm gate, and basically allows the processors to reap more of the rewards from the beef industry than they should. So that is an area where I think federal policy could be helpful and make things better for beef producers, and that would encourage more cattle production all across the country. And provide a long-term stable beef market for farmers to sell into.
You also mentioned, I know you're part of the finance committee, Donald Trump's tariffs, bringing in a lot of money. And I think for me, I've been a fan of the tariffs. I do understand that, for the American people, some prices are still too high, and I understand that. But, just give me your take on the amount of money that Donald Trump has been able to bring in with the tariffs, which is billions of dollars, and how you feel the president's tariff program, if you will, is working.
Well, I'm a fan of what the president's doing, not so much because of the revenue, although that's a good thing, but because the president recognizes that our trading partners around the world, friend and foe alike, have taken advantage of the United States. We've as a country embraced free trade in the post-World War II era, and we believe in it, and it is the best way. However, it requires the rest of the world to embrace free trade like we have, and frankly, they haven't. And so that puts American producers and workers at a disadvantage to their counterparts all around the world. And the president recognizes that. He's using trade policy to try to open those markets, and he's having some success. Obviously, trading partners are resisting, China maybe most notably. And so I think the president's on the right track. It does produce revenue, and I think that's a positive thing, but I think the ultimate goal that the president has is to pry open markets for U.S. products and level the playing field across the world, and that will ultimately benefit the United States in a by enlarging our economy and making us less dependent on the rest of the world for so many critical things that we need in this country.
All right. Always great analysis and perspective. Congressman John Rose, thank you very much for joining us here on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN 753. Joan, I made the joke.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you did?
About how yes, the joke. I made a joke about me doing the airport announcement over there at BNA.
Yeah.
I've got an update on that.
You do?
I do.
Okay.
The power of Nashville's morning news.
Oh, my.
Joan, what's coming up in the news at 8?
So we'll tell you what the deal is between the U.S. and China. A little bit of detail here. Also, we have Stefano DiPietro right after the news.
All right, very good.
Yeah.
And he's going to tell us about what the big Halloween forecast.
Yep.
Is it going to be a spooktacular forecast? Oh, I've got to drop that on Stefano.
My gosh.
Do you think he'll laugh? Do you think he'll laugh at, hey Stefano, is it going to be a spooktacular forecast? Because, the spooktacular joke never gets old.
There'll be a lot of eye rolling, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I just did, smarmy used car salesman air guns at the YouTube camera when I did the whole spooktacular joke.
Great.
You right to jail.